Hey everyone, it's Phil Hall of Westria Communications, and thanks for joining us on another edition of our Westria Video Conversations. Today's topic is search engine optimization, more commonly known as SEO. And my guest on today's episode is an expert in that field. He is Ruan Marinho. He is the founder and CEO of Develomark, which is an agency based in Southington, Connecticut. Ruan, thanks so much for being on today's episode.
Yeah, Phil, thank you so much for having me on. As you know, we've been connected for some time now, so I appreciate you thinking of me when you do stuff like this. So I'm glad to be on. I'm glad to share any information that I can with everybody to help them with their SEO success.
All right, let's make sure we're on the same page with this. How do you define SEO?
Well, people search on the Google search engine for various things, problems. They're looking for solutions. They're asking questions, and it's not just Google anymore. It's DuckDuckGo, which is another search engine where it doesn't trail your privacy. It's Bing, it's Yahoo. And so your site, your website for your business or your publication, whatever it is that you're doing, needs to be positioned at the top of the search results to get clicks and visibility. Now, if you don't have a website that's rich with content and SEO, you're not going to get as much visibility as your competitor is. And so SEO is the practice of optimizing a site to make sure that it shows up for your target search phrases in which you believe your business or organization can benefit from. So to really dummy it down, it's showing up on the first page of Google for keywords that you think are important for your business or organization.
Well, I know that everybody is competing to be on the first page of Google, but how do those websites that get to the first page get there? What is their secret, or is there a secret?
I mean, yeah, I'm glad you asked. There's plenty of secrets. The first one is content and relevancy. So you'll see if you type into Google anything that has to do with, like a celebrity's name, a lot of these news websites show up. And the reason for that is because that site produces so much content, Google trusts that website in comparison to a website that has no content. Google can't trust that website. So if your website has rich features and rich articles talking about one topic over and over and over again, what will happen is your website will start to show up for that topic. Now, this is partially the reason as to why, like Yelp, if you type in best hair salons near me, businesses typically don't show up unless they're doing SEO. Yelp does. And that's because Yelp puts so much content on their website about different hair salons that it starts to show up, and Google knows that Yelp is about the best hair salons in that area. So really one of the secrets to show up is really understanding what is that person looking to accomplish when they make their search. Somebody that goes, hey Siri, show me the best auto dealerships near me. Obviously that searcher is looking for auto dealerships. Your site needs to be positioned to show that person information that's relevant to them. And generally that'll do the trick in most of the times. Now, Google also acts as Google, Bing, Yahoo. They also act as a voting game. So if you have more websites that are mentioning your website, generally speaking, that's counted as more votes, and that site will show up more because it's very difficult to manipulate other websites talking about you unless you're actually popular. And Google uses a popularity algorithm that pushes you to the top of the search results if you have other websites mentioning you, and we call those backlinks.
Now, let's just take, for an example, my publication is the Fairfield County Business Journal. Let's say I'm doing an article about Governor Ned Lamont of Connecticut and his response to the coronavirus. So if somebody's going to go on Google and type Ned Lamont coronavirus, you're going to get every publication and TV site and radio site in Connecticut in the search. So the ones who you're saying who come out on top, they're the ones who have the most content, or is there something else going on behind the scenes that we need to be aware of?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. There's two factors there. One is you're going to get the .gov websites. And the reason for that is because Google and the government have agreements as to where the government websites will show up no matter what the SEO strategy is. So that's right off the bat, you can't beat the .govs most times. Sometimes you can. The next thing that's going to happen is Google is going to look at click-through rate and popularity. So if you have a title that says Ned Lamont fails at COVID response, right? That's going to get more clicks than Ned Lamont COVID response. And because of the clicks, Google's going to they're going to say that article is more quality then the other article, even though it can be propaganda, misleading, whatever, they're going to promote the popular one, because if people are clicking it more and they're spending more time on that page and they're sharing it more, that's going to rank higher on the search engines than just a standard article that talks about his response. There's got to be a twist to your content, and that content does have to be biased. That's generally what gets clicked. So if your title reads, Ned Lamont fails at Corona speech, you're going to click that one because you want to see what that person's talking about over the standard Ned Lamont COVID-19 speech. So that's one of the things that Google's looks at. So when you're apples to apples with the same authority score and the same website with the same content, then it comes down to which one's getting clicked more, which one's getting shared more, and which one is getting more of the length of time on the article. That's why it's recommended in SEO to write long articles that states the fact of what that person's looking for. So if somebody's looking for Ned Lamont COVID-19, whatever it is, well, maybe they're also looking for, what did he say? Maybe they're also looking for, what's the next steps? What are the regulations? And all of that stuff should be included inside of that article to increase the time that that person stays on the website.
All right, well, let's say for our business viewers, say that I'm running a law firm and I'm doing bankruptcy law. So there are plenty of bankruptcy lawyers in Connecticut. So how would I be able to stand out from the other ones using SEO?
Yeah, and law is a very competitive marketplace because lawyers spend all their money on marketing pretty much. And so the way that you would go about that is there's several different ways of optimizations, but one of the best ways is to do paid advertising. And the reason why we say paid advertising, which is the Google ads, Facebook ads, digital advertising, is when we talked about click-through rate, paid advertising increases your click-through rate right away. So Google starts thinking your website's more popular than the other competitors. Now, with that being said, the bankruptcy attorney website that provides the most unique information is often going to be the one that ranks the highest. And so that's why we consult with our clients and we tell them to say, look, talk about 9 celebrity bankruptcies that went well in history. Talk about 9 corporate bankruptcies that were unexpected. Give that type of information on your website rather than just saying, I'm a bankruptcy attorney. Give people the reason to start going to your website, clicking through your website, and finding useful, resourceful information. If I was going bankrupt per se, which is not in the realm of, it's possible. I mean, people go bankrupt. I would want to see on a website a case of where someone like me, so like 9 small businesses that went bankrupt and what they could have done to avoid it. That's an article that I would read. It would increase the click-through rates. It would increase the dwell time and the visibility. At that point, the bankruptcy attorneys need to just give more thought leadership on their website. They're going to get more cases from it. They're going to get more clients. More importantly, they're going to show up in the Google search results, and it's going to create sustainability for the amount of cases coming into the site. Because if you've ever seen a site that has just basic information, and then you have a site of where somebody took the time to research, develop information, and promote it on their website, generally that's the one that's going to show up higher on the Google search results. So with bankruptcy, focus on the problem. Usually every type of thing, every news outlet, every business, as long as they focus on the problem, they're going to get the result. Don't focus on the solution. Solutions don't get clicks. Solutions don't get awareness. Problems get all awareness.
So what you're describing, it's just websites, if you're going to be ranked high on the search engines, you just can't have the placeholder online. You have to have something which is a lot more engaging.
Yeah, and it used to be you could have the placeholder and you could include the keyword 1,000 times on your page. And Google's algorithm, that sufficed at the time. I wasn't around when that was the ranking algorithm. Unfortunately, I didn't have it that easy. But I think now it's Google doesn't want people like myself to manipulate their algorithm, which is pretty easy to do still, but it's not sustainable. And so including the keyword 1,000 times, bankruptcy attorney on a page just to get it to show up more, it still works. But to the user reading that page, they're going to get turned off by it. They're going to go find an actual website and they're going to know it's spam. So Google's algorithm updates every year, several times. And there's no reason for you to know the updates as long as you're creating unique, relevant content. It'll never change from that. One thing that they were saying that they were going to change to was a model to where advertisers show up more. And the reason for that is because if you're spending $10,000 a month on Google advertising and a website is spending $0 a month on advertising, there's no way to falsely spend money. You have to either spend money or you don't spend money. So that's a direct reflection to Google about which site should show up higher on the search results, and it helps them make more money.
Last week I went to the dentist. It was actually Dr. Marinho on West Street, down the road from where your office is in Southington. I see the dentist twice a year. A couple of weeks earlier, I went to see my GP for my annual checkup. Now, I'm getting my health checked once a year and my teeth checked twice a year. I don't imagine that's going to be the right amount of time for you to be constantly checking your SEO to make sure you're doing the right job.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's several factors to that. I mean, to the dentist, cleanings twice a year, they might make, I don't know, $300, nothing crazy. How long have you been going to that dentist? It could be a couple of years. It could be 10 years. For me, I've never changed my dentist. So by getting one customer from their website and their SEO, you're not talking about $300. You're potentially talking about thousands of that customer's lifetime value, not to mention the people you refer to them. So a lot of these practices, a lot of these businesses, they want to find ways to get new patients in because they know the value of the lifetime, just like somebody that gets introduced to your paper, right? I mean, if they see good information, they're going to subscribe to your newsletter, and then you can continuously sell to advertisers as to why it would make sense to advertise on the paper. Now, with doctors, same thing. You get one checkup, but at the dentist, like me, I literally just got Invisalign, and Invisalign's $6,000, right? So, I mean, I found out about the dentist, it could have been from a Google search. And yeah, I started with cleanings, but then it turns into other procedures. And businesses really have to know, where did this customer come from? That's where I need to spend my money.
I think the point I was trying to make is that how many times a year should you be checking on your SEO? As opposed to, like, I can't imagine once a year or twice a year just to do a checkup on that.
Every day. And so the businesses that check on it every single day, they make it a religion almost. It's like what's it called? It's just every single day. Are you writing articles every single day? Are you adding to your website? Are you thinking of ways to add to your website? And if you aren't, there's two ways. Sometimes businesses have time. Sometimes businesses have money. For the businesses that have time, they should be checking it every day because it's probably how they're getting customers now and they don't even know it. For businesses that have money, you should hire an agency to take care of that for you that's reputable and then has results and has past experience with your type of business, because they're going to take care of that for you. But if you have the time, if you're a business that's starting out, do it yourself. I mean, there's several businesses that I know that still do it themselves, don't pay an agency because they have the time on their hands. So you know what's best about your business. Now, watching people like me, we can give you advice on how to better do that. So for the dentist situation, he could have asked you for a review, right? And perfect. And there you go. And so the more reviews that practice gets, the higher it's going to rank in Google search results. So in the practice, if they're doing business every single day and they're not asking their customers for reviews every single day, they're not considering SEO every single day, and the other practices are going to kill them in terms of competition. They're going to get mad and not know why they have more patients and more locations. And so that SEO is not just like writing articles, optimizing the website, internal business practices, asking for the review, right? Asking for connections to you and the paper and how they can get featured, being proactive. But to be proactive, you must be educated on how to go about it. And that's why our business exists. So every single day, internally and externally, dentists especially need to focus on that, because there's a lot of dental clinics that focus on it, like the big DSPs who own hundreds of locations, have thousands of reviews, and patients go to them first because they find them first. It's not even that they're better. That's the scary part. They're not better dentists. It's just because they get shown first over other dentists.
Well, this seems like a whole lot of work to be done. So at what point does a company have to say to itself that maybe they should be handing their SEO off to an expert like you as opposed to doing it in-house?
The moment that the business owner starts doing it themselves after 5 o'clock is usually a good sign, because they're busy 9 to 5 or however much they work. Business owners tend to work their own hours. Like for me, I don't start work until 12 or so. I'm doing other stuff in the morning and then I work late at night. But it's if you're running your business 9 to 5 and then after 5 o'clock you're worried about your website and you're trying to edit your website while you're not having family time, that's generally a good sign. And a good sign is also when you have enough work and you know that you want to scale and you know you want to keep your salespeople busy and you know you want to make the investment towards the SEO, is usually a good time to do it. It's not a good time to do it if you just started your business, or I'm sorry, it's not a good time to pay an agency. If you just started your business, you have all this free time, you have no customers coming in, that's when you do it. But once you're busy and you find yourself doing it late at night, and you don't take on that stress, just let professionals do it.
Well, Ruan, can you give us a case study of one of your more interesting SEO endeavors?
Yeah, so we work with a lot of local businesses. So one of the customers that we're working with right now, Texas Green Plumbing, he's a big YouTuber. He's got he's got a great following. He's got a great following on YouTube, and he's a plumber. And people are like, oh, plumbers, they don't get followers. This guy has 150,000 followers on YouTube.
Wow.
He let us redo his site, texasgreenplumbing.com, and his old agency, just typical marketing, a typical website company that just did the website, looked great, but it wasn't working for him. So he didn't have a good way to get reviews, and
I think you're
which we're now, I think, on the first page for. And so what we did was we called 20 companies in Dallas, and we got their pricing for leak detection. And what we did was we created this page on his website that basically lists all of the prices in Dallas for leak detection, and then the average cost. But it doesn't promote Roger. It just says, for the user, for the homeowner that's actually looking for costs, there's this page. Google picked it up right away and ranked it on the search results because it's unique. It took time to research, and it looks well. And so the other strategy that we're doing with him is we're utilizing his audience to leave him reviews. So every time he goes live as his marketing company, we go into his live stream on YouTube and we say, we'll donate $500 to Roger if he gets 100 reviews during this live. And every call we get like 30, 50 reviews from that. So we end up donating some money. And then he, in turn, gives it to another charitable event. So we're outside thinking of how we can do this other than the traditional forms of SEO, which is make the website, ask your customers for reviews, and pray for the best. Instead, we're going a much more research approach. We're putting pricing on his website. A lot of people don't like putting pricing on the website. Quick tip, everybody's looking for pricing. They don't care about how great you are. And then, getting reviews from his audience that already follows him and getting them to post on his website is drastically increasing his lead flow.
My goodness, so this isn't just playing about in WordPress and typing the same word over and over. This is really hands-on marketing, not just playing games with content. This is really quite interesting. And I think a lot of people don't realize that SEO really takes on so much more than what they might assume.
Yeah, and it's just one part. There's the website, there's the SEO, there's the advertising, there's the branding. All of it together helps Google determine where you show up.
Well, we could probably go on for several hours like this, but we're limited by the parameters of our format. So if people wanted to continue this conversation with you, how could they get in touch with you?
I would recommend to start with my YouTube channel, youtube.com. Just search Ruan M Marnho, Ruan M Marinho. Just search on YouTube. That's the best way. I post everything that I know on there. But once again, a lot of competitors are scared of doing that. I don't really care. And then you can also contact us by going to Develomark.com if you want to inquire about our services. But I recommend you get yourself educated a little more by watching the channel if you're a local service-based business. But you could also contact us directly at Develomark.com.
Well, Ruan Marinho, this has really been quite an eye-opener, and I hope a lot of the people watching this today will take your advice to heart. So thank you so much for being part of today's video conversation.
Phil, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it as always.
Okay, folks, that's the end of it for today. We'll see you again next week. Have yourselves a good one.